keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be...
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now. Because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off, and he, in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, hey, I can get this team to the playoffs.
You listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure, and that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a Hump Day Wednesday right here on the early line. It's the Sports Grid Network. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Joe Ranieri. You know the drill. For the next 2 hours, we got you covered on all the hottest topics, which includes a New York Yankees win in the Bronx to force another day. You know what else that means? 4 baseball games on the docket today. One more day before we wait for the NFL to get underway in the Meadowlands between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. The sun is out. Well, maybe not in South Jersey where I'm out. Sun's got to be out somewhere. So guns out, Joe Ranieri. Let's get after it.
And don't forget, this kicks off now the start of Wednesday, weekday college football here tonight as well. Donnie, we'll have MACtion football moving forward.
Coming up soon.
Conference USA games. We got a lot going on here this time of year.
We got a lot going on as well. And sometimes you can just sit back in the cut and say to yourself, you know what? I'm watching TV. I love sports. Does sports give me any life lessons? Here's Caffeinated Joe.
Yeah, Donnie, so it's funny. One of the reasons that I love sports is because at times it can certainly teach you some great lessons about life. But maybe more importantly, it teaches you lessons about handicapping. And last night, we were taught another great lesson. We're talking about staying the course, Donnie, because as a sports bettor, and you know this, you are going to go through some brutal, soul-crushing stretches where nothing goes right. You're going to feel like you can't pick a winner to save your life. You're going to feel like you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat, unless you're, of course, Volpe, which you can't hit water if you fell out of a boat. But last night, the New York Yankees did give us a masterclass in why you can never, ever give up. You have to stay the course. And let's set the scene, Donnie, right? The Yankees facing elimination, about to get swept, down 5 runs at home in a do-or-die game. The starting pitcher, Rodon, gets shelled last 2 innings. Everything is going wrong. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. It was an absolute disaster. But in the 4th inning, there's this guy that steps to the plate. His name is Aaron Judge, the guy who has been crushed by the media and fans for years for coming up small in the biggest moments of the postseason. The same guy who struck out with the bases loaded to kill a rally in game 1, Donnie. And what does he do last night? Well, he hits a 100-mile-an-hour inside fastball off the foul pole for a massive game-tying 3-run home run in which the fans and everybody all of a sudden had life again. It was the biggest moment so far of his postseason career, and it came right after, of course, the biggest failure by him and the team. You know what he did? He stayed the course. And the Yankees bullpen, what about them, guys? I've been trashing them for the last 2 months. They've been terrible. But yet, after the starter gets blown up, 5 different relievers came in and put up nothing but zeros for the final 6+ innings. The team's biggest weakness became their biggest strength. Why? Because they stayed the course. The lesson for us bettors, right there, guys. You're going to have losing streaks. You're going to have losing days. You're going to have losing weeks. You're going to make bad reads and bad picks. It's going to feel like, well, you're down 5 runs with 2 outs early in a game, and you just can't get out of it. But you've got to trust the process. You have to keep grinding because you are always one big play, one big handicapping moment away from tying the game and turning your entire season around to make it profitable. So stay the course, Donnie.
Stay the course. And by the way, what that means, would it be better last night the Yankees lost 6-1, Aaron Boone was fired, changes have to be made? Or how about a Game 5 loss and they go, man, Steinbrenner's really like what they saw at a Booney, bringing him back 5 games. Back next year. Sometimes it's better to lose early than late, Joe Raniere. We'll find that out, but at least you have another day in Major League Baseball. Nobody's complaining about 4 baseball games today, which includes afternoon action. We'll get into it here. Getting caffeinated, it's what we do on a Wednesday morning hump day to make sure you're ready for your day. And here come the early lineup now. And take a look at this. Jonathan Gannon, $100,000 lighter today because he threw a 2-piece to DeMarcado on a touchdown run that should have been around 70-plus yards, which wasn't, which then caused the Arizona Cardinals to ultimately collapse in this football game. You can't punch an employee, Joe. Rule number 1. Come on now.
Well, you can't punch him on the sideline in the fourth quarter with 9 million cameras hanging around, Donnie. But that doesn't escape the fact that DeMarcado deserved to be punched, kicked, and thrown overboard in a lot of different ways. So while, yes, I think Jonathan Gannon's half right. I think he's sorry that he got caught on camera doing it. But deep down inside, we know, Donnie, yeah, he'll write that check because deep down inside, it was worth it.
By the way, if there was a GoFundMe set up for Jonathan Gannon, it probably would reach like $1 million for people that lost money going like, that's my frustration on DeMarcado right there. You can't do it. He apologized. Yep. We'll move on. We'll be better for it there. How about Joe Flacco traded from the Cleveland Browns in state over to the Cincinnati Bengals? At first glance, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. And then I say to myself, dude can't move behind a bad offensive line. Is this going to work, Joe?
Well, I mean, it worked for the Browns, right? So they were never going to play Flacco again anyway. I mean, it's going to be now the youth movement at quarterback for them. But a 6th-round pick for a 40-year-old quarterback, to me, is this really about Flacco, or is this really about anybody but Browning? Because it feels like the Bengals are now, we'll take anybody but Browning. We don't care. 6 rounds, whatever you want. Just give us somebody that isn't Browning throwing the ball to the other team every other possession.
Yeah, maybe it is a step. And by the way, Jamar Chase, like, you know what? I'm probably going to get 35 targets a game. Now, I'll be just fine even if we're losing football games. We'll see how that one turns out. $250,000 lighter today as we talk about a lot of fines. How about Jerry Jones? Flipping off the bird. Like, hey, you know what? Tax write-off at this point right now, being in an away stadium, it is what it is. But I always find this funny. Like, owners, players, you know what? It's not really the best view for the shield, as we like to say in the NFL. $250,000, what's that? Like finding a quarter in the sofa to be fined for Jerry Jones?
I love the fact, what are you saying, Don? Like, it's an unfortunate incident. It's not an unfortunate incident. Yeah. You flipped off the fans. Yeah. It's exactly what you will gladly write that check, Jerry, and have no worries and no qualms about it. So, yeah, kudos to you, Jerry.
First inning, Vladdy Jr., 2-run bomb. Yankees fans in desperate need of a hero. They got one in Aaron Judge, a 9-6 comeback victory, which means we're going to have a game 4 today in the Bronx. And I do think the New York Yankees are going to win that game and force a game number 5. New York needed a hero and got one last night.
Yeah, no, they did. Big way there, Donnie. And not only Aaron Judge, but again, we mentioned that bullpen, too. Had to step in and bail out Rodon. And finally, Donnie, it feels like that bullpen finally came together. That is what they envisioned when they traded for all those guys.
Yeah, how about that? And also, Les, you talk about guys that need to step up in big moments, the Red River rivalry. John Mateer's like, I want to step up, coach. Let me play. Put me in.
Well, we told you, right? Yesterday, that was part of the Spreadlines. We said, make sure you know what the health is for Mateer. Is he going to go? Is he not going to go? Venables was very coy all weekend about it, but we've now seen that go from Texas -3, Donnie, to Texas -1, 1.5. So it looks like the market thinks he's playing.
By the way, tough scene there for Deion Sanders. Been battling health issues for years now at this point, battling even more with blood clots. And then we get to Conor McGregor, who's not really battling any issues, battling his own demons here. Suspension? Come on now. He has expected that. This guy's been talking about fighting for the past 10 years, Joe. What's the deal?
Yeah. Kind of crazy there. And poor Deion, man. I mean, he's dealing with these blood clots in his legs. He's in pain on the sideline, but he refuses to stop coaching with it, Donnie. It's kind of crazy here, but we wish him the best of luck. And Connor, just go away. $100 million in the bank, go away.
Isn't he trying to be like president of Ireland, too? He's got a lot of stuff going on over there. Stay clean, people. That's what we're trying to say. Spreadlines are up next on the early line.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live. Only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Here come the spread lines, people, and this is what we like to do each and every day. Sort of like opening up the paper as we explain it, where you get your headlines and your spreads, and you get the information you need to know, not necessarily about the biggest games of the week, but lines you need to understand why they're moving and what's going to take place. And we take a look here on the 11th of the month, which would be on Saturday, Arizona State and Utah. This line opened up as a look ahead, Joe, -2.5. Now we're seeing 5.5s and even 6s out there in the sports betting landscape. A total of 52.5 at the opening number, now dropping to 48.5. Lines are moving between Utah and Arizona State. What's the spread line here, Joe?
Couple of things in a game like this that you need to know about. Number one, the early money certainly looks like they favor the home favorite here in Utah. But understand, this is going to be a line that is going to get a lot of action here during the week, especially on Saturday. Why, Donnie? Well, it's the late game. It's on a major network, and it's between a playoff team from last season and, well, a Utah team that everybody thought was going to be taking down the Big 12 this year. So this is a line to keep an eye on, simply because right now, Donnie, it's in what we call the dead zone, anywhere between 4 and 6, -4 to -6. The book is telling you decide where it's going to go, and bettors will decide where this is going to go. So this will either come back down closer to a key number or back up closer to a key number. Keep an eye on it. Probably a game you want to bet just before the kickoff.
Let's get some insider information to get these lines moving along. Let's take a look at another game here. It's going to take place on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Old Dominion taking on Marshall. You look at this opening line, under 2 touchdowns. We're now over 2 touchdowns at most outlets at a -14.5. And the total, Joe, nice and right there, 56.5. The spread line for Old Dominion and Marshall, Joe, is what?
This has been one of the biggest movers from the Open, Donnie, that we've seen so far this week. Old Dominion opened up -10.5, -11, and they got all the way bet up to -14. And it makes sense because Old Dominion has been a very popular pick among sharper bettors. They had focused on the group of 5 schools. They love doing that, Donnie. You know why? Not as much public action in there. Lines might be a little bit softer. And Marshall is a team that nobody had hopes for heading into the season, as they pretty much lost their coach and their entire roster there over the offseason. So I think we're starting to see ODU. We're starting to get that books going. Please bet on Marshall. Please bet on Marshall, because Old Dominion's going to keep getting the money, but it's not going to be from the public, Donnie. It's going to be from the pros and the bigger bettors for sure. Keep an eye on that one.
Hail to the victors, and some might say champions of the West. We're talking about Michigan here, taking on USC, heading out west to play them. And this game is going to take place 7:30 p.m. Saturday night. This line opened up roughly a pick 'em, -1.5 at most outlets, starting to creep more towards USC's direction at -2.5 and 57.5 as a total. The new institution of the Big Ten here. Michigan goes out west, not to the Rose Bowl, but to play out there in LA and take on USC. The spread line for Michigan USC, Joe, is what?
Well, I mean, listen, Michigan, 15th in the country, 4-1, just beat Wisconsin 24-10, but they didn't cover as a 17-point home favorite. And you've got USC, who came up short against Illinois because they shot themselves in the foot a million times. They, too, were a 6.5-point road favorite. They didn't cover. Now, this line opened USC -1, -1.5 as a home favorite. So right off the bat, I think this line here spoke volumes where it opened. Even when you consider home field advantage, why is an unranked team coming off a loss the favorite over a number 15 team in the country coming off the win? This is shaping up to be a pros versus Joes, because the public clearly thinks the wrong team is favored here, Donnie. Keep an eye on this. Majority of tickets, majority of the money on Michigan, but we've seen this line go from -1.5 to -2.5. And you know what that means? That means the more respected and bigger dollars are on USC here.
Yeah, outside of Oregon, they're allowed to travel and win football games. Big Ten, if you go over 1,000 miles, there's no chance you have it in winning here. And obviously the odds makers are taking that into effect between Michigan and USC. Let's go over to the pro game here. Sunday, 1 o'clock start. Everybody's new favorite team, the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to take on the Arizona Cardinals, who had a crushing defeat against the lowly Tennessee Titans. This line opened up, Joe, 3.5. 6.5's now out there at multiple books, and a total 47.5. Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones. The spread line for this game, Joe, is what?
It happens every year, Donnie. There's this one team that the books cannot figure out and can't get right. And this year, it's the Colts. They have an NFL best, by the way, 80% cover rate. They're 4-1, and the only loss came in that ridiculous game against the Rams in which they beat themselves. So they are 3-0 at home against the spread, a pair of dominant victories here. And again, look at that number, where it opened and where it is now here, Donnie. This is a team that the books have absolutely no idea. They, on one hand, they're expecting the wheels to fall off. On the other hand, the market continues to bet them up. And we already talked about the Cardinals. They're a hot mess here. My question is, will this get to 7? Donnie, will it get to the key number of 7? Is that the line drawn in the sand? I think it gets there, but I don't think it's going to last long. So keep an eye on this game and this spread throughout the week.
Understand this, too. The offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles a few years back, Shane Steichen. Defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles a few years back, Jonathan Gannon. These two guys know each other, man. That should be a fun chess match as we see it play out. Another 1 o'clock game on Sunday. The New England Patriots going, you know what? We might be on a hot streak right here. Back-to-back victories could turn into a 5-game win streak. They're going to take on New Orleans and Spencer Rattler, who just picked up a victory at home, and they again are going to be home today, home on Sunday. -3.5, 45.5 as the price point on the total. The spread line for New England and New Orleans, Joe, is what?
New England continues to be an underrated commodity in the market. I don't think the market has upgraded them enough after that win against Buffalo. The defense is healthier now, and it's really starting to play. I'd be shocked, Donnie, if this line doesn't continue to rise before kickoff. It should. I'd grab the 3.5 now, though.
High ticket count on the Patriots here, but let's talk more football. Joe Flacco, what does he mean for the Bengals and the rest of the AFC North?
Interception.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. And I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you
the
on this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
but
safety.
But are you on
Joe.
this? This
Over
is your best bet? Okay.
Didn't you read the screen? What are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Trade goes down yesterday in the NFL. It was Joe Flacco on his way to stay in-state, but go from the Cleveland Browns over to the Cincinnati Bengals. It was interesting when it came across my timeline because as soon as you see that, you realize it's just not working right now with Browning and that offense. It's like, do they need an upgrade to get another veteran in town? I didn't think they probably would make the move, but they're trying to salvage their season for a chance that maybe Burrow can come back and at least with a couple games left, theoretically, or so let's just say mathematically, you still have an option to make the playoffs at this point. So Flacco goes to Cincinnati. And the more I look at this saying, I don't know if I like this move or dislike it. Like, it doesn't even move the needle for me anymore because, Flacco goes to the good. That'll help out that offense. I don't know if it will. Flacco hasn't been that great this season. He can't move. It's a bad offensive line. He doesn't have a run game to sort of keep that defense off of him. He has some great wide receivers. But I look at it this morning and try to digest it, Joe. I don't know if I like this move all that much anymore.
Well, I mean, you got to do something because Brett Rippon was your only other quarterback on the roster behind Browning. You got Sean Clifford on the practice squad. Okay. But so it doesn't, if you need somebody to hold the fort down or in hopes of holding the fort down, yeah, listen, Flacco, yes, he's 40 years old, but he is a true pro. And he's a guy that has a ton of experience in steadying a ship like this here and get it going. This will be the most weapons Flacco has had maybe in his entire career, Donnie, if they can give him any sort of room whatsoever. But the one thing is certain there is that the Bengals have decided that in Browning's 3 starts, he faced the Vikings, the Broncos, and the Lions. 3 very good defenses. And the problem is all 3 of those losses were by a combined 76 points. 8 interceptions altogether here. 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in 4 games is not what I would consider steadying the ship here. So, and by the way, he was getting booed in that game there at home on Sunday. And why not? You can't keep throwing it to the other team. So I love it for the Browns, Donnie, because they actually traded Flacco in a 6th-round pick. And they got a 5th-round pick in return for a guy, a 40-year-old quarterback that they pretty much weren't planning on keeping anyway. So kudos to the Browns for stacking picks here.
Hey, and you take a look at the last 3 games for Flacco, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, passer rating of 65. Versus the Packers, 142 in the air, no touchdown passes and interception, a passer rating of 55.6. Then versus the Lions, 184 in the air, no touchdowns, see a common theme there, 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of 39.3. On the season, Joe, 815 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 6 picks, and a passer rating of 60.3. We'll see how it turns out for the Bengals. They're just looking for wins just to try to have a December where if, your rehab goes right for your starting quarterback, Joe Burrow, when he comes back, and away you can go. But I don't know if this is a move that's going to make all that much sense. But again, it can't hurt. Like, hey, man, Browning's just a play away from really breaking out. No, he wasn't. He's an interception machine that can sometimes throw touchdown passes, and that usually doesn't equate to wins. Because the one thing we know, Joe, is you're not relying on the Cincinnati D where you just need to run the clock out here. You need to score points on that offense because that D is absolutely terrible. Let's get out to the Arizona Cardinals again.
I'll say this, though, Donnie, quick.
Go ahead.
I'll say this. The thing that does move the needle is now you have Shedeur Sanders is 1 snap away from being an NFL starting quarterback. Just saying, that could very well move the needle for the Browns here.
By the way, we were talking before the season started on that quarterback room. We thought everybody would eventually get multiple starts, and we're probably headed down that path here, Joe. What are the options that Dylan Gabriel does not miss a start the rest of the way? What's that percentage? 5%, Joe? Come on.
That's what I'm saying. That will move the needle for the Browns. That might be the most watched game the minute Shedeur Sanders has to be the starter. Yeah. Keep an eye on that, Donnie.
Jonathan Gannon upset like the rest of us if you did bet the Arizona Cardinals, throwing a couple punches to DeMarcado. Didn't hurt him, but just a bad look for a coach getting on one of his players. But you're right about this. Back in the day, if this didn't get caught on film, I don't think anybody makes a big deal of it. It was caught on film. He did get fined. We are moving on. But that was a devastating loss, and everybody felt the frustration of Jonathan Gannon on the sidelines on Sunday.
And now you got to wonder, Donnie, about the locker room, which is what makes this Indy game, them traveling to Indy here this week, even more intriguing, right? Because that kind of stuff in this generation of football player, do you lose the locker room over that?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe DeMarcado lost the locker room at this point. Maybe he should have cut him and got the locker room back, saying this is unacceptable performance, which cost us. They lost here. It is what it is. Jerry Jones, 250 G's later, having some fun, flipping the bird to the crowd, and he gets back on a plane and writes a check to the NFL.
Jerry being like, you know what? I got all cheap. I was willing to pay $500K. So I got better off. You got to be kidding me. Jerry would have written a $500,000 check
$250,000. Jerry Jones always likes to talk about the glory hole in oil. Yeah, $250 lighter in the pocket today, Jerry. Major League Baseball next, people.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. And I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense, 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
are you
the
on
extra
this?
Point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
but
safety.
But are you on
Joe.
this? This is
Over
your best
3.5.
Okay.
Didn't you read the screen?
I
What are you not paying attention to the show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Major League Baseball yesterday, 2 games on the docket. One was trying to get rained out to do its best here. Almost a 3-hour delay before we saw the Seattle Mariners take on the Detroit Tigers, and that ended in an 8-4 finish. 12 total runs scored, which saw Logan Gilbert spin it yesterday, Joe. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, and no walks. That's exactly what you need from your starting pitcher on the road against a talented team like the Tigers. You take a look at the bullpen, gave way a little bit there for Seattle, but they were in complete control early, going up 4-0 before we even got to the 5th inning. A big-time win for the Mariners, who now have the Detroit Tigers on the brink of elimination.
Yeah, I was, you know what? I knew it was in trouble the minute that game had a 3.5 hour rain delay to start, because that game was supposed to start at 4 o'clock there, Donnie, and that would have been extremely interesting. But I hate those games where pitchers got to, you throw them all out of rhythm, and boy, you could tell. I mean, Gilbert, it didn't matter because, let's face it, Detroit can't hit right-handed power pitching anyway. They're 3 through 6 hitters. Have they gotten a hit at all in this series? Because they certainly didn't do anything yesterday there. But Flaherty looked all sorts. He was all out of sorts there in that game early on. So he only lasted 3 1/3. The number 9 hitter, I think Crawford, was on base 3 times, hit a home run. So it was just an uphill battle for the Tigers yesterday, who continue to not be able to hit quality right-handed pitching, and that's been the story of the playoffs.
You talk about creatures of habit. Those are pitchers who have their entire day planned out when they start, like who they talk to, what type of coffee they drink, what time they get to the ballpark, what time they start their warm-ups here, and just to get that delayed. I'm a very superstitious bettor, like a lot of people are. I always feel like if a game is delayed, no matter what your bet in, it has no chance for a win. You took the over, you know it's going to score 1 run. You took the under, you know there's going to be 9 runs. It's always that effect for me, and it's only in Major League Baseball because those are the games that certainly get delayed. But we talk about that wraparound effect, Joe, right? The middle of the lineup didn't do much much for Seattle. But if you take a look at J.P. Crawford, 2 of 2 at the plate here, flipped around to Rosarania, 2 of 5, followed by Cal Raleigh, 2 of 4. We did another home run yesterday and 3 RBI. So we're going to get to the Yankees in a moment, but the two guys challenging for the MVP in the American League, big-time nights for the respective teams. The Yankees stay alive. The Mariners put the Detroit Tigers on the brink of elimination. I did like the Mariners to win that game yesterday. I thought that was solid. But also, when you take a look at the under, Joe, like, you know what? Rainy conditions here, cooler temperatures, maybe some wind blowing in a hitter's ballpark. You would have liked a better performance there out of Mr. Flaherty. But talking about better performances, Joe, we head over to the New York Yankees and the Bronx yesterday. You know me. I like to get my beauty sleep, but I like to have an eye on the games. I thought Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would have a good night. Over 2 bases, made a lot of sense. He got that right away in the first inning with an absolute moonshot to center field. This game was 6-1 Toronto Blue Jays. It ended 9-6 Yankees. Oh, my goodness, Joe. The comeback for the ages to keep it alive.
Yeah, and Donnie, we had a little delay in the game, too, because 2 diehard Yankee fans decided this team sucks and decided to run out onto the field in a third inning.
What inning?
Wow. Yeah, so exactly, before it all happened. So, yeah, this should be very interesting here moving forward. But it all came down to, listen, it looked terrible. Rodon looked terrible. The Yankees, once again, looked lethargic. Bieber looked like, vintage Bieber until, of course, they started making that second and third time through the order. And it all started with Aaron Judge, right? He comes up, takes a 100-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, and hits it off the foul pole. You could just sense everything change from that moment on in that game, including, Donnie, the bullpen coming in. The biggest issue with the Yankees over the last couple of months, right? And yet the one area of that team they've spent the most time rebuilding and concentrating on, it finally lived up to the talent level that they have you had 6 runs through 3 innings. You didn't have another run and only a handful of hits the rest of the way through. So great job by the bullpen of the Yankees.
It's such a great point you bring up, too, because baseball is 9 innings. You're going to get your at-bats no matter what. And even if it's not a lot, like you get 6 by the 3rd inning, tack 1 on the 6th inning, tack 1 on the 8th inning. Like, keep the pressure up no matter what the score is, because it just makes it harder. You see that a lot in baseball. Hey, we scored, 4 runs in the first inning, didn't score again. Like, ooh, that's enough. We got this victory. Pitchers change their mindset to just try to get outs, and away you go. Now, yesterday, you take a look at Carlos Rodon. You need a better start than 2 1/3 innings pitching 6 earned runs. You should have lost that game, but you didn't because the bats rallied. Shane Bieber, he needed a better performance. And Joe, I know you talked about it yesterday, saying, you know what? He hasn't had a lot of innings under his belt lately. And could that be, his effectiveness out the window? And it was 2 2/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, a walk, and only 2 strikeouts there. But here's the interesting part. You see the third pitcher that come into that game was Louis Varland. Innings pitched, 2 earned runs here, 2 strikeouts, but gave up 2 home runs. He's slated, Joe, to be the opener tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays against the Yankees in a bullpen game, which we will preview a little bit later. But I just find it interesting where usually it's like, let me open up the game because I've been dominant. And that wasn't a dominant performance by that pitching staff for the Blue Jays. And also, Joe, talk about the psyche of a team where the series isn't over. Toronto's still in full control. But you know as well as I do, don't give the other team any bit to come back because the avalanche was on. Game number 1, Toronto was amazing at the plate. Game number 2, Toronto was amazing at the plate. First couple innings, Toronto amazing at the plate, like the Yankees should have been dead and out. Credit them for coming back here, and they're professionals. They get paid, I get it. They don't want to give up. But you're down 6-1 again. Oh, woe is me. It looks like Toronto's going to get another 10 or 11 run performance.
Well, and it's so funny, Donnie, because everything is going swimmingly until it's not. What we saw also yesterday is that the minute all of a sudden you're up 6, you got 6 runs, right? You could tell that maybe the Blue Jays took their foot off the gas a little bit, and now they're kicking the ball around the infield, right? Now they're botching easy routine ground balls, giving Yankees, easy bases here and free passes. And that was it. And then all of a sudden, once they were punched back for the first time in the series, Donnie, they didn't know what to do. And that's kind of what you had here. So it'll be interesting heading into this game because they have to throw that suspect bullpen out there all game while the Yankees are going to send their version of their ace as a rookie with Schlittler. So, yeah, momentum shift, to say the least, Donnie.
By the way, Schlittler's getting a lot of people in trouble out there across the broadcasting landscape where nobody can say the
Yes.
guy's name correctly. We always nail his name, but some people really struggle with it here, and I do find that fun. It's like, just call him Cam at this point, or make up a nickname for the guy, but that name is going to get people in trouble. But talk about this, getting people in trouble. Toronto's going to get in trouble sooner than later. Look at the odds shifting here in this series. And again, Toronto's still a heavy favorite technically here and has the one-game lead where one more victory for them will clinch the series. The live numbers now, Toronto minus 220 and plus 182, even moving further off of that graphic here. Yankee money pouring in because, by the way, Joe, we're going to cap this game a little bit later. Yankees are winning tonight. I believe that.
Yeah, and I think the Yankees believe it. And again, different team on the road than at the Rogers Center. So while certainly Toronto feels good because, they still have all the leverage having already won the first two games. But, if I'm Toronto, I want to end this thing tonight. I don't want to have to go back home because, elimination games, I don't care where they're played, Donnie. It's a 50-50 proposition, and the Yankees will have had all the momentum, and they'll have their ace ready to go in that game.
Yeah, heavy price for the New York Yankees in this ball game here. Let's call it minus 180 to minus 185, depending on where you're shopping at here. The interesting part is if you think they're going to win tonight, that game number 5, you're not going to get the Yankees at a plus 182 price in that game and Toronto at a minus 220. So it's almost like if you think the Yankees win tonight, you don't really like that price point, you could take that plus 182. And what's the worst case scenario, Joe? They win tonight, you get a nice little hedge point in game number 5. So some interesting options to think about. But it's great that we even have the options, Joe. In the month of October, we're so football greedy. You're going to have all day Major League Baseball today with so much on the line. You got to love that.
Urgency, Donnie. There is nothing better in sports than urgency. With teams with their backs against the wall, win or go home, and you got a lot of that going on here today.
Backs against the wall, your boy DRS and his Philadelphia Phillies. I'm going to have urgency when I roll over at around 12:15. Wonder who won that Phillies game tonight. Season's over. Darn it. We'll talk about these games next.
Shedeur Sanders will be starting for the Browns by week 9. I am buying this. I am buying this absolutely. At a certain point, Joe Flacco just not the answer. We know they already made the change. Dylan Gabriel is starting this week. We know that. But maybe a team needs a quarterback, and they're willing to trade for Joe Flacco for some level of stability, and then we simply get nothing out of Dylan Gabriel. He is a rookie quarterback when it's all said and done. Maybe there's just no production from him. So why not just move on to a different rookie quarterback that you have just to see what you have? And then, as George, as you mentioned up at the top, you have to evaluate going into next year's draft. So I will absolutely buy this.
The next 4 weeks, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Miami, New England. I mean, the question is this. If they truly believe that Gabriel could be a future starter, you got to give him more than 4 weeks, right? That's 4 weeks is not enough. Minnesota, that's a rough game, all right, being played with England this week. Pittsburgh, they haven't have a defense. Miami is not very good. New England's supposed to have a good defense, hasn't here. I'm going to sort of go. I mean, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to start at some point this week. I don't think it's going to be by week 10, although that does make sense here to name him the starter during the bye week, get him 2 weeks here. I'm going to go more, maybe double digits, week 12, week 14, somewhere around there. Because I'm going to want to give Gabriel a longer run. I think Gabriel might do some damage here against these lesser defenses here. So I think give him a longer runway here. That being said, I do not think Gabriel is the long-term future of this team. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback at all here. I think he's a number 2 at best here. Sanders could be a number 1. I have doubts about him too. I think Sanders has a better shot. So by week 9, by week 10, I'll sell that. But if you're going to give me a couple of more weeks, I would have bought it.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
4 games today in Major League Baseball. It's the Early Line Sports Grid Network setting the table for you for an exciting Major League Baseball day in action. Donnie Rightside along with Joe Ranieri. Game start at 3:08, 5:08, 7:08, and 9:08 today. Let's get to game number 1, which is 9:07, 9:08 on the rotation. Seattle and Detroit. Miller versus Mize. Favorite here? Roughly a pick 'em. You see the graphic about to come up there to -116 price and a total that's listed at 8.5. Joe, if I look at the pitchers here, since August the 1st, ERA, Bryce Miller, 5.62. ERA for Mize, 4.61. That totals 8.5. Obviously, yesterday they got 12 runs, well over the total. I got to tell you, in a pitcher's ballpark here, I'm still feeling both of these bats can get greedy tonight and come away with an over. Can we get 9 runs, or are you more certain on a side between the Mariners and the Tigers?
Well, the problem is, Donnie, if I'm Detroit, do I want some sort of wild slugfest here? Am I winning that kind of game? The fact is the reason they won game 1 is because, they kept it low scoring, which is exactly what they've been doing. They're only averaging 3 runs per game in this series here. They do have Casey Mize, who's actually been, pretty good. I don't think he's allowed more than 3 runs in any of his starts since the beginning of September as well. Bryce Miller, you mentioned it. He's the issue, right? So could this be the game where we look at Detroit's team total and go up and over? Because that bullpen for Seattle might be getting some work in this game here. If not, if you think Seattle wins it, then maybe their team total is the way to look in this one.
Yeah, Miller's usually the guy that you want to fade there in that lineup for Seattle. So I do think there's going to be opportunities for Detroit to hit today. But also, you're talking about an elimination game for Detroit where all hands will be on deck. So if you're just saying, all right, I'm going to go against Casey Mize, he might be pitching a very good game, Joe. 3 1/3 innings pitched, no earned runs, and he's out of that ball game and you go into the bullpen. So these sometimes are tougher games to predict here to see who's going to win. But a good game on deck, 3:08. We'll see if Seattle can move on with a victory. Next game up, 9:10, 9:11 on the rotation. 9:09, 9:10 on the rotation. A 5:08 start tonight, Joe. Milwaukee and Chicago. So maybe we get some of those shadows creeping into the ballpark. But we're at Wrigley. This line opened up at 7 as a total. It's down to 6.5. You don't have to be a weatherman to know that wind is not blowing out today in Wrigley. And also a game, roughly a pick 'em, that -120s, -150s in the landscape has a favorite towards the Chicago Cubs. The interesting part about Jameson Taillon, since the start of August, Joe, a 1.57 ERA, but a 4.24 xFIP number. So getting a little bit lucky here, going up against Quinn Priester. I look at this game, and I'm always under the agreement, like the wind's blowing in, you don't love overs, but come on now. Again, this isn't Chris Sale, Roger Clemens in Wrigley with the wind blowing in. 6.5, give me the over again in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? And you know what? Give Jameson Taillon credit because he was a big part of the Cubs getting past the Padres, right, in that game 3, and he's going to have to limit what is it's a pretty interesting lineup here for the Brewers, right? And we talked about it in games 1 and game 2. The MO for the Brewers lineup is they are going to get to you early. And when they play from in front, Donnie, it becomes extremely difficult because they're not going to beat themselves the rest of the way through. You're not going to get walk, you're not going to get errors, you're not going to miss throw, you're not going to get any of that. So if the Cubs have a shot, it needs to be early in this game against Priester. So I would much rather look at the Cubs in the first 5 than any sort of full game situation here, because I don't know that the bullpen is good, but they are going to have to play from in front here against Priester.
Toronto and New York, we'll spend a lot of time talking about this one. 7:08 start here from the Bronx. Varland's going to get the start. And said, Varland, how's he getting the start? Didn't he pitch last night? Yeah, this is a full bullpen game for the Toronto Blue Jays with a chance to close out the Yankees. It doesn't make sense. It's just the way baseball is sometimes. Going up against Cam Schlittler, who's been very good in the playoffs, which included one of the more dominant performances that you were going to see in his previous start. -180 to -185 as a favorite towards the New York Yankees in a total of 8.5. I do think the Yankee bats will come to play against the bullpen, and I do think Schlittler is going to have a pretty good start. So therefore, I think the Yankees win and force a pivotal game number 5 that will take place in Toronto.
Team total, Donnie. I just think Yankees team total up and over is the way to go here, because I don't believe Toronto. I think what you saw is Toronto might have peaked a little too soon in those first couple of games there in the first couple innings, and then that was the end of that. And the longer this series goes, Yeah, the more data these Yankee hitters and these pitchers will have on this Blue Jays roster. So, yeah, I think maybe the Yankees team total might be worth a look to go up and over in this one against a very suspect bullpen of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, if you told me yesterday, too, like, hey, by the way, Blue Jays are going to get 6 runs, like, okay, Yankees are going home. Credit the bats for coming up big, and I think that momentum can carry over into today. Talking about momentum, none for my Philadelphia Phillies, even though they had some momentum in the 9th inning, and they just couldn't push that tying run across the plate. Nola versus Yamamoto, and keep in mind here for Aaron Nola, right behind him, he's almost, I don't want to say he's an opener. He'll go until he's not pitching well, and then Ranger Suarez behind, but Yamamoto will get the start here for the Dodgers. They're a heavy favorite. It's not a surprise, Joe. Minus 160s at the opening line. We're up as high as minus 184 at certain outlets here, and a total listed at 8. I love my Philadelphia Phillies. I just, like, they're taking a plane right out there. They might as well stop at Disneyland and come home because I don't think they're winning tonight. I want them to, but I'm just being honest.
Well, I mean, and the question is which Nola shows up, Donnie. He's allowed 4 runs, at least 4 runs in 7 of his last 10 starts, and now he's got to face this Dodgers lineup that leads the league in scoring at home here. But listen, Yamamoto has been absolutely fantastic for him. He's only given up 3 earned runs across his past 6 starts. It feels like an under. I mean, it opened up at 8. What are we down to, 7.5 here, Donnie? Because it feels like it is going to be all hands on deck for Philadelphia. The slightest trouble Nola gets in, you know, they're going to everybody and anybody. They're going to empty the kitchen sink here, Donnie, in this game, Philadelphia. So I don't mind an under. I think that's the best chance for the Phillies to win one here.
By the way, they had a poll on Philadelphia radio yesterday, which I get a kick out of. Like, Schwarber's been an amazing player, you know, MVP candidate throughout the regular season. Like, if you would have asked this poll, I'm going to tell you, Joe, 3 weeks ago, it would have been different. Like, do you want to re-sign Kyle Schwarber? Which 3 weeks ago would have been 99.9%. The only guy voting against it would be Middleton, not spending that money. They did the same poll yesterday, Joe. 53% of the fans said they want Kyle Schwarber back because he's striking out and not getting on base. That could change with a big win tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies, but also that could get much worse if the middle of that lineup goes 1 for 11 in this game with 8 strikeouts like it feels like they do. More talk next. The Eagles coming up. Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be?
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off and he in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, "Hey, I can get this team to the playoffs."
Listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure. And that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, and maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Eagles and the Giants rekindling it. Now, here's what I like to say, because the Eagles got robbed last week, and we all agree with it. I get so many news notes and letters and emails behind the scenes that Donnie completely agree with you. They got robbed. They should have won that game, but they didn't. Now we play the New York Giants. And me as an Eagles fan, and let's give a little bit of fandom history, Joe. Growing up, this rivalry was unbelievable, sensational in the late 80s, early 1990s. Phil Simms, Randall Cunningham, Buddy Ryan, Bill Parcells. It had everything. And even back then, the Eagles usually had the edge over the Giants, not in Super Bowls, but in the regular season, very competitive. And you ask Bill Parcells in the place they never wanted to play, it was Veteran Stadium, a banana republic, as he called it. Then as I got into the mid-1990s and late 1990s, I went to school in northern New Jersey, and the Giants would beat the brakes off the Eagles repeatedly as Andy Reid and Ray Rhodes tried to get that regime off the ground, Kerry Collins and all those boys. And then there was a shift around the year 2000, where for 25 years, the Eagles have beat the Giants like a piñata left and right. And I always enjoyed, there was always a mutual respect back in the day between Giants fans and Eagles fans, tough, hard fought. Everybody was united in one thing. Leave the Redskins back in the day, where now the Commanders, out of the equation. Just focus all your energy on hating the Dallas Cowboys. But now, I feel like little brother just can't get going, and the Philadelphia Eagles should have a layup on Thursday Night Football. 7.5-point favorites, heading in to take on the Giants. Rookie quarterback, horrible head coach, fun running back in Cam Scatterboo, and a total 40.5. For as bad as the Eagles' offense has been, these are the games that you need. Giants shouldn't put that much pressure on the Eagles. I look for an easy, comfortable victory on a Thursday night. Am I wrong that the Eagles just keep beating their little brother like a piñata every day after school?
Listen, Donnie, I think they're a solid bet in the first half, because that's who they are, right? They are going to want to bury the Giants early, especially on the road, right? This game isn't at home, it's at MetLife. So bury them early, and then do what you've been doing all season long, which is apparently taking your foot off the gas and forgetting how to play offense in the second half of games, Donnie. So I don't want anything to do until I see more consistency with this Philadelphia team, and namely their ability to be able to run the damn ball with Saquon Barkley, please, would be fantastic. Until we see that, Donnie, to me, they're strictly a first-half bet. Give me them to go in up a touchdown at the break. I mean, the total at 40.5, and you want me to lay more than a touchdown, that's a risky proposition. But I got no problem expecting the Eagles up by at least a touchdown as they head into the break here.
Now, I like to say this, too, because we've got a Brian Dable video coming up in a second. I actually really love Brian Dable is my favorite head coaching prospect when leaving the Buffalo Bills. And when the Giants got him, I actually said to myself, this might be a changing of the evolution of the end. I really like this move. But the minute he backed Daniel Jones and re-signed Daniel Jones, I knew that he needed a lifetime contract there, because that organization was straight up bozo. But I love what he's doing right now. Take a look at this clip.
Yeah, you watch all the games. And you watch him when he's out there get open, big, strong, fast, has good hands, can run any route you want him to run. I'm sure they can throw him the ball as many times as they want. That means Saquon doesn't get it, or give it to Saquon, and AJ doesn't get it. There's one ball. They're all really good players. Smitty, I've been around Smitty. I think he's an exceptional receiver too. So I think whatever they want to do or think they need to do, that's what they'll do. You have to watch the tape. AJ's open a lot. But give it to Saquon, and he's got productive yards. You run his own read or throw it to Smitty, there's another thing. There's a lot of weapons, I would say, on that offense. And whatever they choose to do is what they do.
I like where he's going with that, because they know that there is a structural fault that's happening on that Eagles offense where AJ wants the football. So you have another head coach going guy's open every play. As a wide receiver, and A.J. Brown is so crazy, his head is exploding at that comment there. Kudos to Brian Dable. I think he's a terrible head coach. He got it right yesterday. He really did.
But he did. He absolutely did. Keep playing. And they're struggling, Donnie, but they don't. If for whatever reason, once the adjustments are made at the half, it comes out, it's like they look like a totally different offense in the second half. And I can't put my finger on it. It's kind of head scratching with them.
It really is. But it's not head scratching to me. Just picking on Giants fans again. Like, how did the Eagles turn into beating them like a pinata? Like, there used to be a guy like license plate guy. I was a season ticket holder for 18 years. And he would show up at the Eagles Stadium with that 0 jersey on. Like, what does he wear? Like, 2 Super Bowls for the Eagles, none for the Giants over the past decade. Like, what does license plate guy actually wear to the stadiums anymore? What do Giants fans have left at this point? I don't know.
Not much. I mean, Giant fans have Jackson Dart to be. Listen, and the roller coaster ride with Jackson Dart, Donnie, is going to be a lot of fun.
Giants fans, I'm messing with you. I'm really not. You guys suck. We're back.
Yeah.